Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. If you would like to support this channel, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you enjoy the content. And now let's start with the first story. It's called Mandatory Meeting. I used to work as a special education teacher. Normally, the special ed team has 2 prep hours. One for completing paperwork. There's an insane amount. Testing kids, IEP meetings, meeting as a team, etc. The other prep hour is to literally prep for the academic courses I taught, which included ELA, social skills, etc. A new admin rolls in and decides we are going to have one prep like everyone else. I remind the admin of all the extra stuff special education teachers do on top of normal teaching duties, but to no avail. Normally, we schedule IEP meetings during that extra prep hour, but that no longer exists. So I start scheduling them before and after school and during my lunch when I have time. I'm a contract employee, which means if I'm required to work outside contract hours, I get overtime pay. Overtime pay requires these pink paper timesheets. Asking for one gets the secretary agitated every time, because she knows the admin hates explaining to the district office why overtime is required. So I march into the office and request the timesheet. The secretary is not happy and cautions me that this won't end well. I shrug and walk away. The admin is required by law to attend these meetings. Admin assumes I'm holding these meetings out of the contract hours out of the goodness of my heart. At the end of the month, I submit a timesheet for 20 extra hours. Admin was present for every single one of those minutes. There's no denying it. Admin charges into my classroom before school the next day, super mad. I explained to the admin that it might be wise to give the special education teachers that hour back in their schedule, or the overtime would continue. It took a week, but we got that hour back, and I got a nice little extra check in the mail. The next story is called VP Gets Schooled. Years ago, I worked as the director of communications for an IT company. One of my jobs was to finalize assessment reports for companies we were bidding on. This one particular assessment was headed by our brand new VP. She simply did not understand the way people in Texas, where the prospective client was located, spoke. I, having lived in Texas for 20 years and knowing the board members we were dealing with, changed some of the wording on the final report to make it more client-centric, and we got the contract. When the VP found out, she had a hissy fit. She screamed at me that I should never again change anything she wrote. I said fine. Well, several weeks went by and a letter came across my desk, addressed to a particular corporate president to set up an go-see appointment. The letter was from this VP and the president's name was wrong. Needless to say, I let the letter go through exactly as written. For some reason, the VP didn't get the meeting. I overheard her saying something about it to a colleague, and sweetly said that maybe that was because she sent the letter to the wrong person. When she asked why I let it go through, I pointed out that I was not allowed to change her words. She actually conceded defeat, apologized for her previous outburst and said she would never second guess me again. We are good friends to this day. The third story is called Don't Threaten My Job. This happened in the UK in about 91-92. In the early 90s, I'd just come back from working overseas, and as it was December, I needed a job quickly, so I took one in a Turkish restaurant. It was a waitress job and I truly loved the job. The one other waiter was nice, and the 3 chefs were great and taught me a few tips and recipes I still use to this day. The management, husband and wife, seemed okay at first, but as it turned out, they didn't want to have to do anything except mingle and drink wine during service hours, never once helping, but always quick with blame. On a typical night, the other waiter and I worked our backsides to the bone, and they'd just sit, watch and pester the customers. I didn't see a single tip when I worked in this restaurant, but it's the UK, so not compulsory anyway, so I didn't think anything of this at the time. We worked through Christmas, and the New Year's Eve shift was approaching. The manager asked me to purchase some clothes napkins from a store on the other side of town, which I did. I bought them and took them to the restaurant, and I didn't notice until afterward that I was shortchanged in my reimbursement for purchasing them. One of the managers said she had a great idea. She'd like me and the other waiter to wear something in line with traditional Turkish costumes that evening, for the booked solidly New Year's Eve shift, a shift I was due to start in a few hours. This was the first time she'd mentioned anything about this idea of hers. I mentioned it could be possible, but I'd like to see what she had planned. She produced a cardboard box and showed me the stunning outfit she had chosen for the raider, my colleague. I said it looked amazing and questioned what she had chosen for me. I was very slim, about of size 6 to 8 in the UK and about 5'10". She produced this very skimpy see-through outfit that would be more in place in her lover's bedroom. I asked her if she was serious. She said yes, to which I said, I'm not wearing that. She then told me that I am wearing it or I'm fired. So I replied with a simple bye then and reached for my things. She retracted immediately in panic, saying, No, I didn't mean that, you need to stay. I smiled and walked out. A few days later I popped in for my final wages. Cash envelope and P45 tax documentation, and the other waiter was there at the time. He said that I had really left him in the dirt that night doing that. I apologized to him very genuinely, to which he smiled broadly and said nothing to be sorry for. The management had to help that night and he even saw some tips. The management was grumpy when they came out to see me and very grudgingly gave me my final wages. The other waiter's reaction to telling me what happened that night still makes me smile to this day. The next story is called Can't Do My Job. I work on a mine site, refueling all mobile equipment, generators and whatnot. We have a couple of refueling trucks, but some are restricted as to where they can go, and the fit-outs are different. I had a very rough start when I flew in. Instead of 2 people, it was just going to be me for the entire mine site. We have 3 different service trucks, and for each one you need to have completed a verification of competency. I've only had that for 2 of the 3. What that means is that I had to make do with a smaller sized truck that is more meant as support than for doing the actual fuel run. Halfway through, the fuel terminal fails, so I cannot log electronically how much fuel has been pumped. The supervisor at the time was a pain. He has very poor people skills, to the point where he's getting complaints daily for his rude behavior from the workers and even different departments. That, and he loves to hold double standards. I informed him dutifully that the computer has failed, but I kept on refueling because I had a sheet and the equipment should not stop for a silly reason like that. He tells me it is a legal requirement for that computer to be operational for refueling. It is not, and under no circumstances am I to use it. Luckily, I had finished refueling all the equipment in the affected area, so I didn't mind. It's just easier to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission. Or had I refueled everything? I still had one generator to do, the one of the workshops itself. You know, the one that powers the supervisor's office lights, his PC and the Wi-Fi. I didn't refuel it cause that would mean I disobeyed his order, and I didn't notify him because I told him everything related to it. The generator ran out of fuel an hour before the start of the next shift, which caused mayhem. All the while I was merrily completing my fuel run as per usual. The boys in the workshop knew what I had done and kept me informed with many chuckles shared. The last story is called This Phone Is Not Allowed. I work in the entertainment industry as a rigger. At a particular event I was the head rigger. What that usually means is all the locations of rigging points that get hung on the ceiling for lighting, speakers, etc. are plotted and measured. Calculations are done for the rigging needed to hang everything, so it ends up over the spot the client wants. This is usually done several weeks before an event. I use AutoCAD on my iPad and iPhone app to calculate and store the data. This particular event was sponsored by BlackBerry, and they didn't want to see any non-BlackBerry phones or devices out or used by the crew while setup was being done. I was told twice to put away my iPhone, and the second had threats of being escorted out of the venue if I was seen with my phone again. This was from the project manager from the event company overseeing the setup. After explaining the reasoning to no avail, it was malicious compliance time. The work ground to a halt while I waited 40 minutes for the CAD drawings to be printed, as I couldn't use my Apple branded device with the electronic version of the drawings. Then I pulled out a pen and paper and started all the calculations for rigging points from scratch and by hand. I made it as painfully slow and expensive as possible, considering there was a rigging team of 8, waiting for the info so they could hang the points and motors for the rigging. Even when he began begging, pleading to speed it up and it was okay to use my device and was apologizing profusely, I told him that he was very explicit on the rules. I reminded him that his words were, "If I see that thing out again, you will be taken out by security and not be employed further." He should not have set off the person with the plans and data to hang the show. I relented after lunch to go back to our normal work process, but only if that PM was kept out of my sight. It's always fun when I cross paths with him on gigs, as he is a very cordial and changed person. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories in today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and want to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.